How does a region grow a workforce and an economy? A leader in Lexington, Kentucky, says it boils down to two things: connection and trust. On the Midwest Flourish. Greetings, I'm Rick Farrant, and I am your host for the Midwest Flourish. Today, we are delighted to have with us Robert L. Quick, who is the president and CEO of Commerce Lexington in Kentucky. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you. Glad to be on your program.
I have to say I am somewhat of a fan of Kentucky.
Yeah, we like that.
Yeah, there you go. Many, many years ago, I spent a considerable amount of time in the bluegrass state researching a book for a book project. And as a result of that, the governor at the time bestowed the honor of being a Kentucky colonel, which I understand. Well, as I understand, that's kind of a big thing in Kentucky. I don't know. Is that true?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. When people have that bestowed upon them, typically they get it framed and they hang it in their office proudly, and it's a great talking piece.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. So I haven't framed it yet. I need to get it framed, don't I? Okay.
Well, there's another prestigious one that most people don't know about, but we have a town called Hazard. And so
I do know about Hazard, and I've been there. Yes.
Well, the former mayor used to give out. He was number 2 in the United States for giving out Dukes of Hazzard certificates, and I was fortunate enough to get a key to the city, so I got that. I got that put up on my wall very quickly. But that was a big deal, especially when I went to Eastern Kentucky.
Well, yes. I actually drove through Eastern Kentucky many years ago just to say I did it and survived. Maybe to set the stage, maybe you can give us a brief overview of Commerce Lexington and what it does, and then we can carry on from there.
Okay. Well, we're kind of that full service economic development chamber of commerce, where we provide economic development services. And keep in mind, we have lots of partnerships. That's one of the great things about Lexington and Central Kentucky, is that we really do rely on each other. But our economic development efforts, we do recruitment, retention, expansion. Also a startup. We work with the university and a group called Awesome Inc. that's right next door to us here. We focus a lot on public policy, community, minority, women, and veteran business, where we work with them to help them in any way possible where they need help. And we also do what some people think, oh, it's just a trip. We, for 80 plus years, each year have gone on a leadership visit to a different city, region in the United States. I think one time we were in Toronto, the only time international. And we go and we learn from their successes, their mistakes, the potholes that if they could do it all over again, they would try to avoid. And it has served us well. If you would ever come to Lexington, you would hear people say, well, that idea came from this trip and that idea came. It's crazy, but it's really been a plus. And then we have an international trip. A lot of people say the same thing. Oh, it's just to have fun. Well, it is, but you walk away with a whole different perspective of the world, how the world sees us and how we now see the world, without having a lot of, government leaders saying, oh, this is what we are, this is what we're not. We get to talk to the grassroots, the people. And for me, it's been a really kind of life-changing because I've traveled to 26 countries around the world in my 38 years in this career. And it's interesting just to see how the world really, what they think of us and what I think of them.
That's interesting. And you do that every year?
We do it every year, except in 2020.
Because that's unusual, because there are a lot of cities and other entities that occasionally go on these kinds of trips. So that's real dedication that you do that.
Ready for the next piece of it? So we average on around 160 to 180 and sometimes 200 community, public, private leaders and regional leaders.
Wow.
It is a wow, because we all get to know each other. We build on that relationship, which ultimately gets us where? Trust. And that's what paid off. And you're going to hear me say trust a lot as we go forward.
Well, I hear you, and I'm with you on that. And, trips, that's another way of building collaboration and building that kind of trust that you're talking about. So you've embarked on a regional competition plan, which I believe covers your region, which is 9 counties. And it addresses challenges that many small and mid-sized cities face these days, right? They're all facing some of the same issues. It is surprising to me that Lexington is facing some of these challenges because, my goodness, you have, for these organizations and entities and groups that do rankings, you have ranked in the top 10 or the top 5 of so many of these. I can't even capture them all, but just a short list is affordability, places to start a business, a top place for STEM opportunities, quality of life. I could go on and on and on. And yet, you still have challenges. And so perhaps, just for starters, you can dive into sort of a general idea of the key focuses of this competitiveness plan, and then we'll dig a little bit deeper.
Okay, well, the first thing I got to point out was that it has taken us 30, some people say 40 years to get to this point, where we had enough trust that we could sit down at, in this case, it's a 9-county area that had its public and private leaders come to the table. And we started, there was no meetings before the meetings. It was all of us collectively at the first stop. We hired a couple consultants to help guide us, and we picked up the tab only because we didn't want that to be the issue. And we had the funds. And so we brought all these leaders together, and one of the most important things we did after we got them all in the same room was we said, what are the challenges and what are our strengths? And I just looking here at the list, challenges were lack of shovel-ready land because of our success. Housing availability. Well, back in 2008, 9, 10, with a deep recession, we got ourselves in a hole for a housing need, and that was we're short 22,000 units, housing units. Those are hard to overcome overnight. The other thing I would say is I'm a transplant here, been here 25 years, and this place is so, it's very proud. They're very proud people, and they want things to be better. And quite frankly, if you would come here, you would be amazed at just the quality of life. And I'm going to touch on that here in a little while when we dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
But people came together, and we finally woke up and realized we need each other. So when I mentioned the housing shortage, when I mentioned any of the things that are shortfalls or strengths, we all realized that it's going to take all of us in the 9-county area to figure out how do we help each other. UK wants to hire 5,000 more people in the next 10 years. Well, where are we going to get the houses? And that's where people started finally putting it all together. Well, we're going to have to work with other counties, et cetera, and trying to come up with those points of view. We lack skilled labor just because we got Toyota, the mothership, the big plant right here in Georgetown, our backyard. And they hire a lot of workers, over 10,000 workers, and they've been growing. We haven't told our story. I mean, these are the folks who are honest with themselves. We haven't told our story about all the great things that we do. We're very proud, but we're also very humble. And I noticed that from the first day I arrived. And but we also realized that when we brought in Ted Abernathy to help us get going with this whole initiative, he was a regional thinker, and he started showing us. Matter of fact, he did his own little study, and how we developed our challenges and strengths were perfect to what his analysis was. But we then had to start telling people again, in our leaders, about what we needed to do to change all this and how we needed to be working together. So we had an issue over the name Lexington. We call ourselves Greater Lex.
Right.
Because nobody knows where Central Kentucky is. If you go to South Central, they say they're from Central Kentucky. So
yeah, I'm going to jump ahead really quick because I do want to come back to these. But for many people outside of Lexington and Kentucky, well, they think of Lexington as the horse capital of the world, which I'm sure you're kind of sick of hearing about. But I I have been to Lexington. I didn't spend a lot of time there, but there are all those horse farms, and that's what you see when you drive into Lexington.
Absolutely.
It's also known for bourbon, but I think a lot of places in Kentucky are known for bourbon. And then you mentioned UK. A lot of people may not know that was the University of Kentucky. A lot of people know of Lexington as the home of the University of Kentucky, and a lot of people are introduced sort of in a very vague sort of way to Lexington by the sports prowess of the University of Kentucky team. So
Yeah.
because you mentioned not the horse capital, but you mentioned UK, I am wondering if an outsider who doesn't know much about the Lexington area, if those are really the two key ways that they are introduced from afar to Lexington, and is that something that helps the region or hurts it?
That's a great question. It can be both. We have to tell our story. It helps our region because we have several global brands. Every place else I've ever lived, we would argue to try to figure out what that global brand was. We've got multiple ones here. Horses are. We just sold Keeneland, just sold $640 million worth of horses in 2 weeks. The thoroughbred horse. Yeah, we're horse capital of the world.
Yeah.
Those horses, when we travel to Dubai, we're treated extremely well. Dubai leaders come here a lot. And we have a global economy, not just because of this horsepower, but also the horsepower of Toyota and the suppliers. So yes,
Okay.
we have multiple. A big blue nation. Don't laugh. We don't have a professional team, but you would think we did if you were here. We're very into our sports. Kentucky Fried Chicken. You go to Dubai, they say, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
So a lot in China, more Kentucky Fried Chickens than there are McDonald's, at least at the time we were there. So those brands really help us when we go overseas. It's amazing how positively people see us. They may not know us or understand us, but the door gets opened up from our brands.
So it's more of a help than it is a hindrance. So
Yeah,
as you said, it opens the door, and then you can start talking about other things.
and and the challenge is real quickly is that there's a strong component of anti-growth. So we have to work through all that for the balance. And sometimes that gets challenging. We just expanded the urban service boundary for the first time in 27 years.
Bob, that's not unusual, the anti-growth sentiment. It's kind of like people don't like change. I'm sure you're going to mention trust again, but how are you managing to deal with that anti-growth sentiment?
It's hard. I'm from a farm. I own a farm in Illinois still, though this is our home now. And it's hard because the group of horse owners, they're very devout in their convictions. And, coming from a farm, I get it. I understand. How we've had to overcome it is we had to get to our council members to make the case as to why we needed to expand the urban service boundary this time. It might be a long time before that happens again, but we had to build that trust and that relationship and the case with the council members, and they saw it. They understood it.
Yeah. I know that's a tall mountain to climb. You mentioned the plan mentions a number of things that we're certainly not going to have time to parse all this and get into it, which really saddens me because we could go on for hours.
But we can do it again.
Well, I think we will.
Yeah.
I'm realizing that now. It's extraordinarily interesting. The plan that the regional competitiveness plan mentions that one of your great challenges, again, something that a lot of cities your size have, include population growth, jobs, wages, and the GDP.
Yeah.
I don't expect you to be able to address all of those in the next however many minutes we have left, but what are the general ways that you're trying to address those, for lack of a better term, deficits?
Yeah. Number one, we're out telling our story like never before. We know the message. We're very candid about the message, and we're finding we're getting a lot of hits. So we refreshed our economic development website. It's very focused to the CEO. It's very focused to the site consultants, and it's worked extremely well. We also started using other technology, geofencing, to drop our messages in different places. So we started telling our story, and we found that to be true. And We also know we have workforce challenges. So we also created a website that now talks about the region, the 9 counties, because some people want urban sector living and other people want more rural. Hey, whatever they want, we just need to make it available. And so those are kind of the things that brought us together. Oh, but here was the other thing. It was an awakening. When we had all these public-private leaders in the room, we were candid, we were honest. Ted Abernathy was. He made it very clear, these are the things you got to overcome. And it's the things you mentioned. What he showed us was that we were slipping. However, one area we were strong in, and that was economic momentum. The area we were strong in was quality of life. Nashville's number 1, we're number 2. So we have that already, those connections in, and now we're telling our story to the college students. We're using Handshake. We're connecting business and students. We got it. We understand. Everybody does, and we're all working now in the same direction because we do trust each other and because we know this is the direction of things we have to come. Our results each year now have been very, very positive. Millions of new hits, hundreds of thousands of other hits in different areas, but we're finally doing the thing. Indeed connects our jobs to these folks, to the students and others coming in, and on and on. We finally got smart.
Right, but Bob, there's still an issue with jobs of, is there an adequate supply, right? I mean, that's something that everyone's struggling with, right? So, an organization like yours can post jobs, employers can say they need people, but we seem to have, generally speaking, in a lot of places like Kentucky and Illinois and Indiana and Ohio, a dearth of adequate workers, right? And I sort of would like, this really wasn't one of the questions that I had said I was going to ask, but so there's 2 ways you can do that. One is you can draw workers to an area. The other way is that you can build talent. I was in workforce development for 11 years. My experience has been that developing your own talent, while it's a good thing in the present environment, is not enough. So how are you planning to address the worker shortage situation?
Well, the couple areas that I mentioned to you, but the other one is we worked with our Fayette County Public Schools, and we put together an initiative called Academies of Lexington. The teaching styles changed. It's more of how it works out in the public sector in our place, and we started connecting the students in more. It's about relationships, but it's also about getting our message out to folks to understand we've got really good job opportunities. We have over 100 biotech firms. Most people don't even know it. It's part of the story we got to tell. Really good salaries. So we're now, again, I talked to you about Handshake, or I mentioned Handshake, and other software tools. Anything that we can do so that the students, whether they're Transy, UK, BCTC, that we can connect with them. They know there's jobs, they know there's opportunities, and we're talking to them as much as we can.
How are you doing in being able to keep the grads that you have coming from, say, UK and some of the other institutions of higher learning, and keeping them in the area? Have you been making progress in that regard, or are there still too many who leave?
There's too many that still leave, but we also know we're making the progress that we have to, and we're working with Visit Lex for the parents when they come. That's our Visit Lex is our tourism group. We're pulling together every connection that we can pull together, and we're sending out geofencing. We're sending out all kinds of information, and we are finding that they're coming to our site and a lot, and often.
Cool.
But each year we have a summit that Ted Abernathy comes in and he gives us the hard numbers as best.
Is that the one you're having on the 12th of November this year?
Correct. That's correct.
So one of the things that you tout, and frankly, a lot of cities your size tout that they're close to larger urban centers. One of the things that you've touted, I think on your website, maybe it's the Greater Lex website, I don't really recall, is the fact that you're just well, it's more than a stone's throw, but you're pretty close to Cincinnati and Louisville. Is that generally a good thing, or does that become a real competitive challenge?
All the above. I had my son moved to Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, couldn't wait to get back home, as he said. My daughter went to LA, couldn't wait to get away, got her fill of LA after about a year and a half, couldn't wait to get home, and she came to Louisville. And then she made the hop over here to Lexington, because what we have done here, and you got to give the whole community credit, our quality of life, quality of place is really changed. New facilities that we put up. Gatton Park is brand new, just rolled off about a month or two ago, and that's behind our convention center. We've got ways now that we're pulling people together. The quality of life, we're getting better and better and better at it. More to come.
So you don't have, though, an issue of someone saying, say they're graduating from UK or some other saying, I want to go to Louisville, or I want to go to Cincinnati, or maybe I want to go to Columbus. I don't know. Columbus is not quite as big as those other cities. I know that, I mean, where we're based is in Indiana, and I know that a lot of young people want to go to Indianapolis, which is the largest city in Indiana, and we're here in Fort Wayne, which is the second largest, but we actually lose people to Indy because they think, well, you know, there's an attraction of going to a bigger city, even though someone's going to get mad at me for this. They don't have a heck of a lot more than we do. Do you have that? Do you have
Sure.
to fight that?
Yes. Chicago. We lose a lot of folks to Chicago, Nashville. We took a look at the ring around us, and from Knoxville, all this. And what we did, we're dropping our story in now. We're very sophisticated. Again, DCI, we brought them in to help us put together our marketing package. We a local firm, we also set up with Kismet. All these firms and their leaders have really helped us figure out how to connect. Again, I keep going back to simple things. I know it sounds too simple, but we just have to connect. We have to tell our story. We have to show people the quality of place, the quality of life. The jobs are here, good jobs. And we're making those efforts, and we find that the number of hits on all of our different pieces is working well. We're getting our story out there.
One of the things that you've been noted for is, I guess, say start a business, which I guess is another way of saying entrepreneurship. How important is entrepreneurship to the 9-county Lexington area, and what have you done to encourage that?
That's a great question. When I moved here, it was so obvious. This is one of the most entrepreneurial places I'd ever lived. We have a lot of really cool tech things that our public schools and our private parochial schools let these young folks get their hands around. We have, again, started creating and having available in the community an improved quality of life, which we get to hang on to a lot of those folks. We get to have these really positive, high-end performing kids, places for them to go. We worked with a group to form Academies of Lexington, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, and that's a different style of teaching. And it really, a lot of kids we would have lost, we don't lose them because we have a lot more options for them in the marketplace. The thing I kept coming back to is I always say it's in our DNA. It's crazy, but we have very strong connectivity and connection with our young people, and more to come.
Well, yeah, and you can also have people that aren't necessarily young that may be, moving into, starting a business too. So
my wife's an artist, and let me tell you, she's an entrepreneur. I don't think artists like to be called that, but she's an entrepreneur. There's a lot of different groups in town that we have that we're strong in, and a lot of it goes back to entrepreneurship. My oldest daughter, she formed her own business. I'm amazed at what she's done.
I'm a writer. I want to go back. I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. Go back to your wife being an artist. What does that look like, being a entrepreneurial artist in your wife's case?
You have risk. You have to set up your own business. You have to fill out all the tax forms like any other progressive business. You got to build your clientele. You got to hang on to your clientele. You name it, everything an entrepreneur goes through, an artist goes through. And I tell you,
yeah,
she's great at both, but a lot of artists like being the artist and not the business side.
Yeah. And what kind of art does she do?
She's a pastel artist.
Pastels. Lots of nice colors.
Lots of nice colors. Don't ever use the word chalk. I did that one time. She's great. But I got to tell you, we have so many artists in this town. It's amazing.
The other thing that is mentioned on the strategic comprehensive plan has to do with growing the labor force, and it mentions that there needs to be a better talent attraction strategy. Has that strategy been developed, enacted? Where are you at on that?
We have. It's lookatlex.com, and when you go to it, it's really pretty creative. It's our talent website. It shows the 9 counties. Not everybody wants to live in an urban county, and so we have a mix of people, and we have all the pictures, and we show all of the cool stuff going on in the region. We have digital marketing campaign going on as we speak as well. I have 2 of my staff in Tulsa right now. They are at a workshop for the talent attraction piece. And we have a talent retention strategy that we put together using handshake pieces. But we have a lot of fun games on there to kind of tell them our story. It's really pretty cool. If people haven't seen it, go to lookatlex.com.
I actually have been there, but for the other folks who haven't
That's
been
right.
there, yeah, it is. It does have a lot of information in there. I do want to have you back. I want to talk about some of your other successes because I think it will be helpful for those who pay attention to this and are interested in the economic development and workforce space. You mentioned, and this is going to have to be quick. We're going to have to come back on this, housing affordability. Boy, that is a bugaboo for everyone. Where are you at with that right now?
Well, we've done we had several of our local banks come to us and they said, we'll buy down the price of your land. So we found this piece of acreage that Transylvania used to have their baseball diamond on, and they no longer use that. They sold that land to the banks. The banks paid down on the land cost, and we brought together developers who typically compete with each other to all come together to work together. And we have this multi-unit project that's going to come to life. It's been so well received locally and also at the state level that the state's looking at us as a potential way to help fix and help fund and encourage others to build housing units and to do it in an affordable way. The state's got several bills that they're going to be putting together January 1. We're very interested in those infrastructure bills. So there's going to be a lot of things coming forward in our next legislative session. But we didn't wait. The city is active. Everybody's active here. We didn't wait for somebody else to do this for us. I was really proud when the business community stepped up the way that they did to show not just to talk about a problem, but to figure out how to fix it, and how competitors in the development world, how they came together, because it's a bigger issue than just them, and it's worked very successfully so far.
Yeah, a real quick question. What's the mix that you're looking at when it comes to land that can be developed for affordable housing or existing housing that needs to be refurbished?
I don't know that I know the answer to that. It's a little bit of both. But it's also because we're very regional now. It's got to be a regional solution that we help each other with.
Yeah, because I'm aware that sometimes it's difficult to find land, right? That
Correct.
Somebody wants,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it is.
So repeat. You mentioned a couple of websites. Repeat the websites where people can reach you to find out more about what's going into the greater Lex area, and we'll definitely get together again. But how do people reach you right now? For
our talent and workforce website, it's lookatlex.com, and for our refreshed and stunningly very beneficial economic development site, it's locateinlex.com. And if you want to see a little bit about tourism, visit lex.com. It's an incredible website as well. We're all in this together, so we got to promote each other as much as we can.
Well, you've been great. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and we'll do this again. Thanks, Bob.
Look forward to it. Thanks.
Thank you, Rick. That's a wrap on today's episode of the Midwest Flourish podcast. Want to dig deeper or get involved? Head to marketingthemidwest.com to explore how we can work together to empower your community to flourish. Let's keep the Midwest momentum going and shape the future of our region together.